Welcome to the 2017-18 school year. There's been some changes to our Canvas page, and I wanted to point them out to you because this is where all of your information for 7th grade science is going to be found this year. So we have some tabs down at the bottom that are new, some buttons, and I want to point out a few of these buttons to you. The first one is the assessment calendar. So if we click on the assessment calendar, you have to be logged into your DVUSD Google account in order for this to open. If you get a message that says that you don't have permission to open the calendar, then you need to go back and make sure that you're logged into your district Google account. I'm not going to give permission, so you need to make sure that you're actually logged in. Once you're logged in, you'll be able to access this without problems. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the assessments for this particular school year for 7th grade. Some of these are required and some of them are optional, and they're very clearly labeled as to which are required and which are optional. A few of the differences with assessments: one is that our assessments, we rewrote assessments this summer, and there are some new assessments and there are some that were taken away. So the quarterly assessments that used to be available are no longer here. In addition, the year-long pre, mid, and post that used to be here isn't here either. That was a content area test. Instead, what we're going to be doing is a Strand 1 pre and post test that is required. This test will assess students' capability of doing science within context. The pre and the post are required. This particular assessment is appropriate to use as an SLO goal, and if you choose to use it, it's optional, it's not required. If you choose to use it as an SLO goal, there is a midpoint test that is also optional. So if you are using it for SLO, please feel free to use the mid-year test. If you are not using it for your SLO goal, then you do not have to give this test. The other required tests that we have are the end of semester tests. So we have optional pre-tests. And the semester 2 pretest is actually open right now during this same window as the semester 1 pretest for those who just want to get all their pretests done at one time. Or it'll also reopen during this second window as well. The 2 content area post tests are now 29 questions, multiple choice, and 1 constructed response question. And that's why you're just going to see over here where there's a scoring window. So December 4th to December 22nd is when the semester 1 pretest or the semester 1 test is open for students to take the assessment. In order to score that 1 constructed response, there is an extended window for scoring only that goes until January 12th. Unfortunately, in the spring semester, because when the kids leave on May 24th, that's when our grades are usually due, there's no additional scoring window in May. So you'll want to make sure that you have all of your assessments scored by May 24th. If you look over on this side, what you're going to see is the actual title of the test that you'll find in School City. And I want to draw your attention to these letters that are after the particular assessment. These letters tell about the security level of the test. An L means it's a low-level test. That means that you have access to the item analysis. You can look at pretty much everything for a student. The only thing that you can't do with a low-level assessment is print it out, give it to the student, and have them take it home with them. If you print it and they have them look at it in the classroom, that's fine. You just have to collect them back again. A high-level assessment is more what you're used to, where you cannot look at the item analysis. You can see the standards analysis, and you can see the individual student score. The purpose with these being low level is so that you can use them for intervention in your classroom and to gain valuable data about your students and where it is that you can help them to improve their abilities. If we go back to our main Canvas page, the next thing that I want to point out to you is the Curriculum Materials Adoption tab. I think most people have seen this, but just in case you haven't, there are 2 new resources that we have available to us. And one of them is our Gizmos. We will have our training for Gizmos starting next week for those teachers who were not in the grant cohort and have never been trained on using Gizmos. Before you come to that, though, it would be really helpful if you would register for your Gizmo account. You'll use the registration link that's appropriate to your school, and then you'll use this registration key that comes after it. The other resource that we have available to us is Discovery Education. This is a single sign-on for both you and your students. So there's 2 ways that you can access the single sign-on. One of the ways is through Canvas. And over here on the left-hand bar, I'm going to scroll up just a little bit. On the left-hand bar, you'll see a Discovery Education link. Both your students and you can access it through there. You have to be logged into one of your 7th grade classes in order for that to work. The other way that you can access it is through the portal. On the left-hand side, there's in the menus that are over there, you'll find Discovery Education. Either that or you'll find it under the More button under district websites, and students will find it the same way. Also for 7th grade, we have our FOSS kits. Every teacher should have received their own FOSS kit. This is the 2nd edition. For the 1st edition, what I'd like you to do is, if you have that kit on your campus, a lot of the rocks are the same, and a lot of those materials you could still use in your classroom. So the lab type materials, I'd like you to strip those out of your kit and go ahead and hold on to those. It allows you to have more lab stations and things like that, so we don't want to get rid of those. If you have stuff after you've pulled out everything that you can use, if there are some materials left that you just don't have a use for, please send them back to the Science Center, and with a note in there that says that you've taken out all the materials that you need and that the rest of it is for parting it out, and then we'll put it back into our inventory in FOSS. The next tab that we're going to look at is for professional development. Once again, to access this link, you will need to be logged into your district Google account. And what this is going to do is it's going to give you a list of all the professional development for this year. At the bottom, you'll want to click on the middle school tab, and you'll see all the different dates and the different trainings. So coming up, we have next week a makeup session for any teacher that did not receive Discovery Techbook training during the pre-service time. Your principals will be sent a list of all the teachers that came. If you're not on that list, you do need to come to one of these trainings. If you came to the pre-service training, you do not need to come to this training. You will be paid $16 an hour for attending this training, and it will be at purchasing. The following week we have, we're going to be starting our Explore Learning or our Gizmos training. This is for teachers who were not in my cohort. So if you'd received training last year on Gizmos, you don't come to this. If you didn't receive training last year with me for Gizmos, then you do need to come. And if you're a 7th grade teacher, you'll be signing up for this morning session from 8 to 11. Now, that being said, you're going to sign up, you're going to try to pair up your teachers on your campus. So if you have 2 teachers in your campus that were not in my grant program last year, I'd like one to come in the morning and one to come in the afternoon. We want to kind of balance it out. The teacher that comes in the morning should put in for a full day substitute. The teacher who comes in the afternoon should put in for no sub required and a half day. And that sub will move from the morning classroom to the afternoon classroom. So you do need to talk with whoever it is on your campus that coordinates your subs to make sure they understand what's going on. But this is important. I don't want 2 teachers putting in for half-day substitutes on the same campus unless they don't have someone to pair up with. We're trying to reduce the cost of the training, still provide everyone with the training that they need, but to keep our costs down. So the directions that I just said are over here on the side. I don't know about what time you should be starting your sub requests in there so that you have enough time to travel to purchasing to get there on time and make sure that you've had time to eat lunch as well. So that's on August 23rd. Once again, there's a morning session and there's an afternoon session. The following week, there's another Discovery Education session, and this is required for everyone. This is like the next steps in Discovery, and so everyone should be coming. Once again, the morning session is 7th grade, the afternoon session is 8th grade. We try to make sure that we're pairing people up so that we're utilizing our substitutes as best as we can. On days where I'm taking you for part of your half day, on the regular district half days, you don't put in for a substitute on those days. And if I go past your regular duty day, you will get paid for that time. So you'll need to go through and look through the different days that there are release time for you to come and learn. If the group is appropriate to you, then these are required trainings. These are not optional trainings. If you are not on one of the grade level specific Canvas pages, then what you'll do is you'll click on this tab and you'll find a self-enroll code. If you are already enrolled, you do not need to go to the self-enroll code. You should just be able to find it under your courses or on your dashboard. If for some reason it's not showing up, for example, here's my DVUSD 7th grade, if it's not showing up on your course list, then you would come down here and you would click on all courses so that you can see all the classes that you've had access to, and I have quite a bit. You probably won't have quite as many. But to make it show up on your dashboard so you don't have to go through this every time, then what you would do is you make sure that this star right here is clicked next to your course name, and then it will show up on your dashboard, which makes it much easier, and you'll get to see my lava flowing. For 7th grade, I want you to, we'll click into this really quick, and I want to show you a few things. The main tab I want to show you on here is the district assessment information. And this is where the things that I talked about with the different assessments, the new assessments, there's some information provided for you in here. As well, this summer, the teachers who worked on the test did a few different things. They looked through the item analysis on the old tests and they identified specific test concepts that students had a hard time with what they struggled with. And then they gave you some suggestions for how you can help students better understand that particular concept. So you'll see that for both of the assessments are in here. They're all on one page. You'll just have to look on the side for the different labels. You've also provided you with a district assessment blueprint, which shows you how much of each test, how much of that strand and PO is on each of the tests. So you can see the distribution of standards on your assessments. They've created district level study guides for your students to utilize. One of the big things about any of the Google Docs that are on here that are made for your students, please make sure that you are making a copy of the Google Doc and sharing it to your drive. And then with your students, if you're sharing it electronically, share that link. Please do not share this direct link with your students. If your students are not logged in to their district Google account and they send that request for access, it's going to go to the teacher that made the document. It's not going to go to you. So please make sure that you're using a copy that is in your name to give to your students. You're welcome to print them out as well, but if you want to share them electronically. I mentioned on the assessments that there are now 29 multiple choice and 1 constructed response. And here in Canvas, there are scoring rubrics for those particular questions. This is not something that you can share with students. This needs to be kept confidential, but it gives you an understanding of how it is that you would score that particular question. You're welcome to print this out and have it with you while you're scoring your assessments, but once again, it is not for students. And then another link to your assessment windows as well. If you have questions about the district resources that are available, please feel free to email me. My email address is on the front page of the DVUSD Middle School Science page. Thanks and have a great year.